Miller, Pruitt, post-race Indy 500, 2017. And you know what? I think I've covered almost 50 of these. You've covered about 25 of them. I've been coming here since 58. And the finish was one of the best ones I've ever seen. And job done, Sato.
Wow.
Castroneves comes so close again to winning his fourth. Your thoughts?
My thoughts, Jesus Christ. I got about 1,000 of them. Oh, my God. First of all, that had to be the highest blood pressure Indy 500 I can ever recall. A lot of it was part of the restarts, right? We'd pack them up, and 5 wide at one point on the backstretch, Robin. Sorry, we'll use the Lord's name in vain. Jesus Christ! This was nonstop. If anything, things only got boring in the last couple laps. Granted, the beginning was a little bit of a procession, but once we started getting a little bit of slowdowns, a little bit of yellows, but just ferocious. The intensity. Yeah, this is something where, I don't know about you at home, but everyone here was just freaking holding on to everything because we thought the big one was coming all the time. It felt like last 5 laps, the Daytona 500, every lap.
Sato came so close in 2012, I think it was, with Dario, and went for it in the first turn and spun and hit the wall. And AJ Foyt said, or Bobby Rahal said after the race, you know, how can you fault somebody like that? The guy's always been fast. He won Long Beach, and he was like, okay, he's just never going to quite put it together. But as you heard Garrett say, this team, his engineer, Garrett Mothershead, has worked with him before, and you heard him say, man, we gave him the right package.
Not only was he there to get the job done, very important, but he held off some pretty hard charges. Think about it, he had Helio Castroneves breathing down his neck. It's not as if he was having to hold off someone who we didn't respect. He was having to fight and won. So, we'll also be honest, too. We had Fernando Alonso, who led a bunch of laps and blew up. We had Ryan Hunter-Reay, who looked like this was his. He blew up. We had Charlie Kimball, who was looking really strong. He blew up. Scott Dixon gets taken out. Thank God Dixon's fine. Dixie gets taken out. So there is nothing to take away from Takuma Sato's performance at all. You and I spoke about that earlier. We also have to be honest, though, in saying you take a lot of those big names I just mentioned off the board, that's when you start opening up these opportunities for a Max Chilton, for a Taku. Ed Jones, P3, Eduardo Danger, that's his new name.
And Ed Jones, Mike Cannon, the engineer, Dale Coyne's team, finishes third. And as Marshall talked to him after the race, he was
pissed. He was pissed. And another little thing, too, is had some contact, had a hole the base of the nose, which was causing a lot of drag. So if you notice towards the end of the race, Ed would try and get a heck of a run, and normally where you'd see that run start to pay off at the end of the straight to try and get by somebody, it's like you hit a brick wall. It's because of that drag coming off the nose. You think about Ed, you go, oh my goodness, if he hadn't had that problem, could he have been fighting Helio and Taku for the win? So this was, when we started getting down to the final laps, this is really becoming if it isn't Helio becoming 4-time, someone else is going to be incredibly happy that they got a 500 in what a few people have said was a strange day, and I can't argue with that. It was just, we had a red flag. I mean, lightning's about to strike us and kill us, so.
This could be our last video.
Yes. Pray for us.
What
do you think, Robin? I mean, again, you've covered a trillion of these things, but where does today rank? You and I did not wake up this morning and say, oh, yeah, Sato. Oh,
no, I bet on everybody. I mean, you could know. We'll talk about the Hondas in a minute, but I think what makes the Indy 500 is what we saw at the end. A guy like Sato who lost the lead and then got it back on the outside. He was the one guy that could make the outside pass work today. But I think about all the Japanese drivers that come over here and not done anything. And this guy, when we went to Motegi, he was by the biggest crowds we ever saw. He's a national idol there. I know the race ended at 5 a.m. Japanese times, but I hope a lot of people watched it. And he's the world's nicest guy. And I think that just makes him, when he came down the pits, he got a hell of an ovation because I think these people appreciate the guy's spirit.
That's something that I love, too. We heard that when Alonso climbed out of his car. Huge cheer, just massive respect. I mean, look, we're in Indianapolis. If there's a crowd to get and understand a quality performance and really, again, respect someone's work, these are the people. So hearing them cheer Alonso. And then Taku got a massive ovation coming down pit lane to come into victory lane here. And then in victory lane, which hopefully you'll see in some photos or videos, this is genuine. I mean, last year's winner, Lord love him, ice cold. There was nothing there, no emotion. Taku, he looked like he won the Indy 500. Smile that's never going away. He was hugging and kissing Firestone tire technicians and you name it. I mean, it's really cool when you see someone take in what this victory means and see for them that realization like, oh my God, I'm an Indy 500 winner. Just a dream day for him. Happy for all the Japanese reporters and photographers who come here and support him. They've been through a lot too, right? I mean, year after year, they're like, oh my God, I don't know if we're going to.
They were jumping up and down at the end. It was really cool. All right, your buddies with Art Sincere and Steve Erickson of Honda. I said, did you guys watch the last 5 laps like this? Because you got to remember, Honda probably led 99% of the laps, and suddenly Castro Neves looks like he's going to steal the Indy 500 from him. So I would say, whatever they did to put into this effort, Marshall, you know a lot more about it than I do, but it worked. Everybody didn't blow up. And they were at the end of the race, he was able to repass, and Castro Neves wasn't able to repass him. I think horsepower had something to do with it.
Yeah, and this is just shortly after the win, so I haven't had a chance to walk around and ask questions, but I would not be surprised if we learned that they did dial back the power just a little bit. Really? And that was really about the only thing you could do at this stage, knowing that Hinch lost a race motor 29 laps into carb day. Every Honda driver was on pins and needles this morning. They might tell you they weren't. They were. I think they might have dialed things back a little bit, but we definitely saw that while the Hondas were quick today, they weren't, oh my God, quick like they had been at some point. So that's why I think there might have been a little bit of safety margin added in. Also, Robin, let's talk about Team Penske. We had Helio Castroneves, who was capable of going to the front, and that was it. I mean, there were a few that would kind of rise up.
Montoya made a move there for a while, and Will just kind of fell back at the start and never kind of recovered. And Simon, he struggled all month. Joseph wasn't very good. So it was an interesting mix of, just didn't look like Team Penske all month.
No, but again, bizarre. And what we expected, because this is what Team Penske does, they came out of the gates in practice, wasn't a whole lot there. We're like, all right, well, they've had 4 or 5 days of practice. They'll learn, they'll go back, they'll do all kinds of, sim work and whatnot. And qualifying, they're going to, all right, well, that really didn't work either. Okay, well, we got another week to the road. All right, well, that didn't, I don't know. I do know that Ed Carpenter Racing was the clear #1 Chevy team throughout the month. Obviously, Helio had a better finish, but strange for Roger to show up at Indy in a spec era and just be off enough to really not be a big player. So we spoke about Eduardo Danger, Ed Jones, P3 Rookie of the Year.
Rookie of the Year, Ed Jones.
James Davison.
Should be.
He took himself out, made a mistake, starting dead last with a car that was not a true super speedway perfect vehicle to cut through the air and do all those great efficient things. That kid put on a drive. If there was a best drive for a guy who made a mistake and crashed and took himself out award, James Davison. Holy.
Did he win a ride the rest of the year?
Well, I don't know if you win a ride at this point with Dale, because there's money needed to play, but I think his sponsors will have seen that this kid's worth investing in. I don't think Sebastian Bourdais has to worry about losing his job. No. But how's this? We've seen in the past where Dale has had a guy come in, I'm in for the season, money runs out after 4 races, and then it's 5 or 6 people that we don't remember and are somewhat forgettable. James, I think, showed everybody that while he is keeping the seat warm for Seb, I think Dale definitely should have seen, I got a fighter. Yeah. I got a fighter that I can put in that car and know that he and Ed are going to do some pretty cool things. So hopefully he gets the nod. But if he does want to look at some other drivers, we'd love to see Matty Brabham, Steph Wilson. But anyways, James Davison's a hell of a drive.
He did a nice job. All right, we're going to wrap this up. We're going to vote Ed Jones as Rookie of the Year. Pass of the race, Takuma Sato to win the race.
Sammy Swindell
pass. Unluckiest guy of the race, probably Ryan Hunter-Reay and Alonso. It's probably a tie. Luckiest guy of the race, Scott Dixon. Well, unluckiest guy, Scott Dixon, because he had nowhere to go when Jay Howard crashed from him. But he was so lucky the way the car hit and bounced. Hell of a job for DeLaura to keep. It landed one time on the roll hoop at the end, but it was spectacular, and the car held up well. And I know he's got a boot on his foot, but it could have been so much worse.
Yeah, said he hurt his ankle, went back to the infield care center to have that looked at, so we'll check in with Dixie a little bit, see how he's doing. Sebastian Bourdais showed up here on crutches at 10 a.m. to a big ovation in the media center and around. So, boy, this wasn't a simple one, friends. This thing has got about 27,000 different elements to cover. And
he'll do
most of all, Thanks for watching.
That's
This
right.
has been ridiculous. Me and this old bastard walking around. Everybody saying thanks. Keep doing it. So this just off the cuff. I mean, as you can tell, we're freewheeling this.
I think they like videos because we can't spell and our punctuation sucks.
I mean, I'm a good word writer.
One more thing. Scott Dixon wins the poll, gets held up at Taco Bell, gets thrown upside down in a violent crash, and walks away to tell about it.
And Shank, Michael Shank, man, he had a rough month.
Yeah.
And we love the guy. If you know him, if you read anything about him, he's one of the good ones. And between himself, Jack Harvey, motor blowing up, wall contact with mechanical issue, getting caught out. I mean, he crashed today because he got hit by a piece of debris off of Connor Daly's car. He got the first one in, but boy, I think most people wanted to see Mike have a much better day. Really hope he's back next year to kind of, set this right a little bit.
For the rest of the whole next season, we hope. Yeah. All right, classiest move of the day. AJ Foyt came to victory lane and congratulated Takuma Sato on his victory. Marshall Pruitt's got pictures, videos, stories. I'm a poor measly writer. We appreciate you reading Racer.com and reading Racer Magazine. We'll talk to you next week.